Welcome back to A People's Guide to Publishing. I'm Joe Beal, the founder and CEO of Microcosm Publishing and Distribution. I'm also the author of A People's Guide to Publishing, which distills what I've learned from selling millions of books over the past 25 years.
I'm Ellie Blue. I'm the editorial and marketing director here at Microcosm. We are an independent mid-list publisher based in Portland, Oregon. We have 14 employees, over 650 titles in print with 20 to 40 new books per year, and we distribute thousands of titles from other publishers.
We started this podcast so that we can share what we've learned with newer publishers so that you can learn from our mistakes.
Or perhaps you just want to better understand the publishing industry. I'm in the short chair.
We changed chairs.
Oh, let's do it. Should we switch our sides? This is so weird.
This week at the TJ Maxx of Zines, we present to you some new zines.
New zines.
They look roughly, more or less, like this. For those enjoying the video portion of our casting pleasures.
Most of these are brand new, but some of them are, well, there's a story behind every zine.
Less new, more new, semi-new, new edition, new writing.
So for those of you who are new to this whole everything, what is a zine, Joe?
A zine is like when you knit together a love letter and a book about a topic that you are obsessive about.
But it's also like usually like photocopied, possibly very low production values. It's something that you can make yourself and then produce yourself in whatever quantities you want without having to like wait for a publisher or do all the like publishing things. You can just, you can create one for a friend, you can create 10, you can change the cover however often you want.
A typical edition is about 100 copies.
Let's talk about Cat Party first.
How did Cat Party party?
So this is Cat Party number 7, which is a zine edited by Katie Higley, now in its 7th issue. So Cat Party began because, well, Katie has made a ton of zines. She's like...
I think she invented zines. That's what I read on the internet.
She would be horrified to hear you say that, but she is an extremely wonderful zine maker based in Philadelphia and has made zines about all sorts of different topics. And she was writing a book for us a few years ago about cats. It's called Cats I've Known. And which
exists now.
We were like, let's take a few of the chapters and make them into a zine, and then we can sell that alongside the book or to promote the book. And then she just kind of went a little wild. She was like, I want to make another Cat Party zine. And so she like put out a call for contributors, and now we're on issue 7 with no end in sight. Issue 7 has a color cover. It's pretty fancy.
And she very seriously asked me if, by us calling it number 1, if that meant that she could do more. And so I, in response, jokingly said, oh, we should start with number 5 then. That's more in the spirit of zines. And despite that completely unhelpful response, she has remained as prolific as she's ever been since at least the 90s, if not the 1890s. Thanks, Katie.
She is writing a book for us now called Kitchen Witch, which is basically like 1890s inspired wisdom about how to make your home a wonderful and magical place. So
I look forward to Witch Party.
Witch Party, yes.
1 through 10.
I'll suggest it today. All right, what do we have next?
Next, we have my favorite conversation piece, Indigenous Noms, which is, surprisingly, a book of indigenous recipes, most of which are not aesthetically pleasing in photograph, but are palate-deliciously pleasing in your mouth.
And it's written by Dr. Faith, who writes a lot of books and zines for us, and most of them about mental health and self-care.
And what you may not know about Dr. Faith is that she is a indigenous woman who brings us her historical recipes of her sort of cultural heritage.
She prefers to be referred to as Choctaw. And so eventually it might make sense to make a whole cookbook, but she was like, hey, I have this idea for a zine, I can write it out real quick, it's almost the holidays, let's do this. And we were like, heck yeah.
And we did it.
And it's great.
You can check out our the event that Faith and I did for Powell's for the backstory of how the cover came to be.
That's a good story.
And it's pretty funny.
What are you holding there? That's a giant zine.
This is the doorstop / paperweight called "There's Something About a Train" number 7.
Number 7 is the big number today.
Which, despite its commanding weight, length, girth, and size, was always a zine. It has never seen a different format.
So this isn't really a new zine. This is from the 80s, the early 90s, I guess.
Yeah, this zine, I believe, originally published in 1999. So this zine, I believe, is the one that was originally published by Tower Records when Lee, prolific hobo of yore, now ex-hobo Lee, remaining a very charming individual, who now works in ecological maintenance in the Southern California, sort of between any major urban areas, so like in a largely depopulated mountain. Used to write very prolifically about train hopping, and is the reason that post-Depression train hopping became such a thing, because Lee wrote and printed thousands upon thousands of these that like really glamorized and told the story of, and celebrated what was happening in the hobo community.
One of the things I love about this zine, also this is true of Cat Party, is that it's not just Lee writing, though he writes a lot, but it also has a ton of contributors. Like, there's always someone telling the story of their first time, there's always somebody giving advice, there's people writing about train hopping in other countries, so it's really like kind of awesome underground travel writing that you would never find anywhere else. And, and they always give you tips along the way too, like what to watch out for. And
yeah. And Lee recently sent us a little piece of paper that contained the hobo's prayer, which is, "Let us trespass against those who trespass against us." Which I was like, damn.
It may or may not be on our fridge.
Mm-hmm. But this is longer than most books that we publish, so bear that in mind as well.
It's a lot of paper.
Mm-hmm. So zine does not mean short, necessarily.
Except this one, very short. How to Afford Your Damn Meds by Kenmore Brewer. This is brand new. Mm-hmm. So Kenmore is a registered nurse, and she has helped many, many people get the psychiatric medicine, essentially, that they need, or any kind of medicine, even though the system is kind of out to screw you, or to at least make it very difficult. And so she has a ton of different tips in here. They're all very affirming. She offers tips on, like, what to do when you just can't access your meds, but also, like, how to get discounts that most people don't know about, how to talk to your doctor to, like, figure out the best strategy to be able to actually afford the care you need. It's really good. It's by an expert. It's funny. She's a good writer. It's very short and accessible, and it does exactly what it tells you to. Mm-hmm. And this actually was the first submission I think we got for our new series, Self-Care Healthcare, which is intended to be books and zines by healthcare clinicians, giving advice for people to take their own health into their own hands. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's adorable. And
last, but certainly not least, we have My Tropey Life. How Pop Culture Stereotypes Make Disabled Lives Harder by Annie Carl, which is a little bit more of a bookish zine in that the title development, the way it's like formatted and written, is a little less subculture and a little more like short book.
Annie is a bookstore owner in Washington State and also a magazine writer, so it is not surprising that she brings more of a professional demeanor to the table.
And so, yeah, you land in that like sort of space between magazine, article, and book, And it is exactly what it sounds like. It's telling you what like culture is doing to the lives of disabled people by the way it is misleading the general public about those issues.
Yep. It's really smart, and it's like, I feel like it could be an academic article, but it's not written in any way academically. Like, you can actually read it. Mm-hmm. And Annie has a lot of, like, personal anecdotes about ways that people have treated her, and she draws the parallel between, like, the way disabled people are seen in movies and books. And then she also has some books with positive representation. Not very many, but there are a few, and she has a whole shelf of them at her bookstore.
Mm-hmm. And that is just a small sliver of the iceberg of what you can find in our catalog, which is like, I think it's like 1 billion, because remember, we're the TJ Maxx of zines.
And as we're recording this, it's like mid-December, and you can kind of see on our website every night people are like getting drunk and buying a lot of random zines on our website, and I feel like that is a great way to consume zines.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the very first time I ever had a radio interview was in San Francisco, and it was a guy that had like basically said, I get drunk every night and browse your website, and there's some days where I wake up and found out I placed an order.
And then you get some exciting stuff in the mail. Maybe some of it helps you drink less. We'll see.
Yeah, one way to find out. Thanks for joining us once again.
Please send your questions to podcast@microcosmpublishing.com so we can answer them on future episodes.
And please give us 5 stars on iTunes and everywhere else that podcasts are reviewed.
You can find us on the internet at microcosm.pub.
On Twitter at Microcosm.
On Facebook at Microcosm Publishing.
On Instagram at Microcosm_pub.
And here in Portland, Oregon on North Williams Avenue.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful week.